Well, I'm totally bored of this. I've been playing for almost 5 hours now, and it's not even fun being mad at the game anymore. It's just getting annoying at this point. There just must be a better way to enjoy being mad at a game that just isn't fair.
Oh God.
Sonic the Hedgehog has been the beloved Sega mascot since 1991, when the original game came out on the Sega Genesis. Since his debut, he competed against Nintendo's Mario as a placeholder to the company's console war. He had a long run, but was cut short when the Sega Dreamcast discontinued the production. Sega dropped out of the console market, but not the video game market, as they continued by siding with their once rival PlayStation to release Sonic Heroes. Sonic Heroes, released on December 30th, 2003, is the first multi-platform Sonic game, as Sega no longer had a console on their own. They just decided, screw it, put it in the box. Because of this, Sonic Heroes is easily a lot of Nintendo PlayStation kids' first Sonic game, and honestly, it isn't a bad start. Don't get me wrong, this game has some flaws, but it's definitely not Sonic 06 or Sonic Boom bad. Just annoying at times. This is my first Sonic game, and it's still in this gray area of liking or disliking the game, as I remember completing each story mode, but realized that I needed 7 Chaos Emeralds in order to fight the final boss. And I never got that chance because my original copy broke. Damn it. Now that I have my own GameCube copy, as I found the PS2 version is the worst of the two, as sometimes things don't load well or are just missing, doesn't mean it's still not possible for this copy. With that out of the way, time to see if this can revive my lost frustration. This is Sonic Heroes. Oh, also I'll be playing this on the Wii. Starting the game with one of my favorite intros ever, we pick a save file and have options: single player, multiplayer, extras, and settings. Naturally, I'm alone, so no multiplayer, so off to single player. Here we got 4 teams of 3 to choose from. We got Team Sonic, Team Dark, Team Rose, and Team Chaotix. Since this is a Sonic game, and since Team Sonic is the first one you'll hover over, I will pick him first. Later, I'm going to regret this decision because of those damn emeralds. The third portion of the story is simple. Dr. Eggman is sending them a message of his latest scheme, so it's up to Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles to stop him. And now the game starts, usually with the speed character active. Just to clarify, this is true for all teams. There are 3 types of characters in each team. The speed character, who usually are the fastest of the 3, and all have a tornado attack, but each of these have a unique ability apart from others besides Sonic Shadow, as well as a crappy dash attack with a faulty lock-on system. More on that later. The power character is the strongest of the 3, based on combat and ability to break objects that the other 2 can't break. They each have a 3-hit combo depending on how many upgrades you have, a glide ability, and a power attack in midair, which all require the other 2 active. Finally, we have the flying characters, who usually make a pillar of all 3 and fly in a short distance in order to get to some platforms. They can shoot the other members in order to damage/stun enemies. If they're out of allies to shoot, they throw fake rings, which stuns enemies. But they're practically useless, as you can only do this on the ground, and if for some reason the other 2 are gone. This is the main gimmick of the game, by having 3 playable characters, each with their own playstyle to progress through obstacles, rather than playing as new characters each new playthrough. I mean, technically you do, but in this case, at least you get to play 3 and 1 through. This way you have a bit more creativity on how you want to play and progress, as there are times where one of the members is more suitable for a current situation. Or if you just want to be Sonic and speedrun this motherfucker. Each character has a small level up system that goes up if you get the correct corresponding orbs. All this just lets you hit harder and have longer lasting effects on enemies. Nothing really happens if you get extra orbs, by the way. To top it off, you have a team attack, in which has a bar that will only fill up based on the rings and actions you do throughout the level. And once activated, you'll get a unique attack based on the team you're playing. That'll destroy all enemies around, and you do heavy damage to boss fights. I'll get into the unique effects of each team attack as I go through each team, though. Well, that defines the character mechanics, so how are the levels themselves? Well, if you enjoy seeing and interacting with multiple versions of yourself that are slightly different, then sure, you'll love them. There are 6 levels in total, with each level having 3 acts. 2 are the main level acts, and the 3rd being the boss fight, whether you fight Dr. Eggman or an opposing team. Each main act has a key that you can grab and take to the end to unlock the bonus stage, but only if you can bring the key to the end without getting hurt. Here's the thing, I think these levels are fine, but I also think the complaints of these are somewhat justified. See, each of the levels are essentially the same map and act layout for each team with just some minor tweaks. Team Sonic is the default stages, so there's no quirk here. Team Dark is much more difficult to go through, and at times they might be extended just to compare to Sonic stages. Team Rose has the shortest stages as you start from the middle of the level and near the end, but nowhere near the end of a standard stage, so you only do like the middle portion of the level. And finally, Team Chaotix, which has certain ends, but not really any defined ending to a level, as the others are all about reaching to the end of a level. More on them later. The argument here is that how the levels are repetitive, thus lacking some creativity and some more unique levels and designs. I can understand partially to this, as yes, you do basically play the same levels each time, but slightly different. Didn't mean they lack complete creativity though. See, there are changes in each level depending on how you play as, but each small change does change the flow of the game from different items, bot locations, or sequences that are missing. This all boils down to the fact that there are 4 teams to play and need a cohesive story and gameplay to link the 4 together. So, yeah, corners were cut, and they used the same levels of each team, but none of them felt the exact same, instead of making brand new levels for each team on each stage. They put more depths in each act by playing multiple paths like previous Sonic games that involve skill to reach some of these or some exploration for some hidden ones. The developers did the best they honestly could while managing different scenarios, so I honestly think the decision on making the levels the way they are is honestly fine and works for the type of game Sonic Heroes is made out to be. Then there's the bonus stages. Remember that key I mentioned? Well, depending on which of the 2 acts you kept, your key you get to on one of the 2 stages, the time course and the emerald course. Both having you collect orbs in order to give you a speed boost to either beat the time or catch the emerald, all while avoiding bombs and the goddamn ceiling. My god, this is the most slippery game I've played, and yet it's very annoying to deal with. Granted, the worst part of it is only on the bonus stages. In the normal stages, the slipperiness is fine at worst. Sometimes it does get you killed along the way with delayed inputs, but it's not unplayable, and in practice enough, you can manage it and use it to your advantage. Hell, I think that's why speedrunners like playing Sonic games, for all the dumb things they can do with thanks to these slippery physics. So for all the deaths I got, I'll put that as a me issue. That's right, I'm willing to put up my own lack of skill in a children's video game. But in the bonus stages? Hell no! When you're in these stages, you're running much faster, and because of that, the slipperiness is increased by like 10 times! It's like the entire level is made of wax, so it's so easy to get stuck on the roof of the level where you're just less likely to get any orbs, if not any. But Verse, why don't you just run straight, says an unlikely viewer that I made up. Well, to get the orbs, you're going to have to move side by side occasionally to switch the other members or to get them, as well as avoiding the bombs, which kills your momentum and takes a bit of your bar away. And manually switching also hurts your speed, since you would prefer to be the speed roll for this. Granted, there are these gates that automatically switch the rolls and maintain your speed, so I write that off as a me problem for occasionally missing these gates. The bomb thing, yeah, no, fuck that. I am actively avoiding just fine for one moment. The next thing I know, I either spring up to the roof or hit the bombs and lose all my speed. I hate these stages, which is why I got all 7 emeralds through this Team Sonic levels so I can get them out of the way. Now, everything I mentioned is true in both versions of the bonus stages, but the emerald one is a lot easier if you do this. Stay as a speed character, collect enough orbs so you reach at least level 2, then immediately just boost straight and you'll get the emerald almost immediately after starting the stage. There are no gates in this version, but it's fine as long as you boost in the straight line in the beginning of the stage. You're basically guaranteed to get the emerald. And this might be the best time you want to be on the roof, so go with that. I would say the worst part about getting the emerald is the key to unlock the stage. The ultimate point of these stages is just to get more lives based on your performance on these, and honestly, after doing the first bonus stages of both segments, it's very easy to get over 50 lives, so this is all whatever in the end.
Let's blast through with Sonic speed!
Okay!
Alright!
Finally, I can get to Team Sonic, and if it wasn't for the keys, I think I would have more fun playing this team. You play with the default stages, with the point being reach to the end of the level. And yeah, I enjoyed playing as Team Sonic. I like playing as the high-speed Sonic and try to speed past levels while finding the most optimal way to beat them. Knuckles is a powerhouse that allows me to just one-shot almost everything. And Tails, you're doing good, buddy. Sonic's unique ability is to automatically flow through a trail of rings once you press the X button on one of them. However, sometimes it doesn't work, as you might just end up getting one ring and the move ends. I think you need to be in the right position to do this, or you might just zoom off someone. The team's ultimate attack is Blast Away, where you do this more advanced tornado attack to destroy everything on sight. And during cooldown, if you attempt to do tornado attack with more enemies around, you'll do a mini version of Blast Away that can one-shot even further or do small chunks of damage. Note, it doesn't last long, and it's easy to lose yourself in the middle of the attack if Sonic actually continues the attack. It's best to use the team attacks in either a large group of enemies, or a very tough one that needs more than a couple attacks to beat. After playing as Team Sonic and either perfectly doing a no-hit run or grabbing the second key to the end of the stage, all I can say is, I wished I liked this playthrough more. Some areas of the game had me work for that damn key, as either the target system to dash attack is flawed, so I had to have fate decide, or some reason I zoom off or jump off whenever I didn't input a jump. For this part, I did this part as fast as possible multiple times, but I never had enough momentum to outrun the damn laser, so I cheesed it using Tails to fly over the laser. As you only use the fly meter anytime you move while flying, so if you just hold the fly button and not move, you can stay in midair the entire time. I used Tails and the other flying characters multiple times to get out of annoying situations like this, and honestly, it feels like an oversight of I can just say like this without consequences. The times I didn't have to worry about the key though were fun, as I could just zoom around and play differently, and if I get stuck, I didn't have to worry about the damn key. But with the key, yeah, I hated it. There's also a grading system on how you did through the level of A through E, but I don't really care about these as much as the others would. Just know I didn't do that great after the city level. I do want to say, whenever I hear Sonic, he kind of makes it sound like a kid's game. I mean, technically it is, but some of his lines feel forced whenever he has to talk about teamwork and drop the title at the end of the game. Jason Griffith voices Sonic here, and I honestly like his performance as Sonic whenever he says his usual quips. I like it, and it sounds like how Sonic would actually talk. I just think some part of his script were out of his control, probably since this was a first multi-platform game and they wanted to make sure that the game marketed towards kids. And just to get this out of the way, I know people usually bash on Tails on this game, but William Corky was a literal kid voicing here, and he's not even that annoying as he doesn't really talk that much, so he's fine, honestly. There is a funny thing I learned while making this video was when I was talking to my friends about Knuckles' line, "Shift, rock, yak." I thought he said, "Shift, rock the earth." In reality, it was the first line, but with a slight tweak on the F on shift to be softer so it would sound like he's saying shit. So now I hear "shit, rock the earth," and I find it hilarious to know that there is an interview about this. And I'll leave it down below. I want to know what y'all hear, because this is just interesting to know what others might have heard because of the way how this sounds. At the end of Team Sonic's campaign, you defeat Eggman's fleet and save the day. Supposedly.
It's not an Eggman robot. Sonic! Knuckles! Wait for me!
All lifeform data successfully copied.
I'm counting on you guys!
Affirmative.
On to Team Dark's campaign. It started with Rouge breaking into Dr. Eggman's vault for treasure and instead finds Shadow and a killer robot named Omega. The two fight and Rouge stops and discovers that the Shadow has no memories of what happened before, and Omega is mad at Eggman for locking him in the vault. So the trio form a team to take on Eggman to accomplish their own agendas. Now, usually the speed characters have something unique to them, but Shadow's moveset is exactly the same as Sonic, so moving on. The only unique thing I can think of from Team Dark is their team attack, Chaos Control, where they destroy everything around them, but during the cooldown stops time for you for everything. Heck, even the timer on the top left stops. This can come in handy since everything is stuck for a bit, and you can either use this time to deal with more damage, escape, or make some difficult parts of the game easy to travel through. I might have used attack a bit more than the others just to pause the level while I just breeze through the rest, and since it's super easy to charge a new team attack, I just kept using it whenever it's convenient. However, there are times where I can't progress further in the level because the door or obstacle are stuck because of the after effects, so be careful when you use that attack. Team Dark's levels are basically either a more difficult or lengthier version of Team Sonic's, with some minor tweaks to make it difficult. Some robots are exclusive to the campaign to slight route changes, so that you have to learn something new, to robots that take more hits to destroy. All of this does make it more difficult, but if you play Team Sonic's playthrough, you basically know what's going to happen next and already know how to deal with the situation. There are some hiccups, like swapping some enemies for more advanced ones, which are usually color swap robots with a bigger gun. Some instances, they throw multiple robots at you, and even more than you might expect. The only thing I hate about this decision of a hard difficulty is sometimes you get stun locked and are trapped with little to do in a large group of enemies. Usually, that's when you use the team attack, but when you fight Dr. Eggman when all he does is summon a large group of his robots at you, there isn't much you can do but fight. For the most part, Team Dark was fun, but it get annoying whenever a large group of enemies were involved. Honestly, I would say there isn't much to talk about this campaign if not for Shadow's story within the series, as this game does take place after Sonic Adventure 2, where Shadow supposedly died in the end. Thus is why he has amnesia here, and in the end of the campaign, Rouge and Omega believe that the Shadow they're with is a robot. The only way we know more is this sort of sequel to the game Shadow the Hedgehog, which does take place right after Sonic Heroes. So, neat. Shadow's story can be used as a sort of timeline to know which game came in first, and this only applies to Sonic Adventure 2 and onward though. Oh, and I almost forgot to mention Omega's inclusion, as Sonic Adventure 1 fans might think he has similar colors as Gamma. That's because originally Gamma was supposed to be the team member of Team Dark, but the team decided not to as they didn't want to defeat the purpose of his death and think of a way to bring him back. But hey, he at least has Omega's colors. That concludes 2 campaigns, with one of them being annoying because of those damn keys, and the other one being pretty fun but has some hiccups due to the amount of enemies they throw at you. And it didn't help that this kept happening.
When grinding,
See, my copy here is special. It was deformed. I bought this at GameStop last year after they announced the whole retro GameStop thing and found this game for $20. Now I know why. Not to actually bash on them, as they did warn me and still offered a warranty just in case something goes wrong, so this purchase is on me. And now I have to live with the consequences after discovering it on Team Dark and occasionally run into the same problem. I now have an extra challenge of avoiding these tip signs, as my game may potentially crash upon contact. It's not like it's a hard task, but I do occasionally forget about avoiding them, and some of them you just make contact with because the level starts you off going through one. Luckily I never had a problem with those, but this still happened occasionally.
Let's go.
Ultimate life form data has been copied.
And now moving on to Team Rose, and at this point we should have covered everything, so nothing should surprise me at this point.
we're up! You can count on me!
Okay, here we go.
The story begins with Amy sitting down looking at the newspaper with a picture of what looks like Sonic kidnapping Frocky and Choco. With Cream and Big the motherfucking cat, they go looking for their missing companions and Sonic. And now we start with... Huh? Why? Why is the tutorial here? I get that it's Team Rose's campaign because this is the easier one of the 4, but if you're going to bother putting a tutorial, why put Team Rose as the 3rd team of the line rather than the first one, or at least give Team Sonic the tutorial since this is a Sonic game? The most players are going to play as Team Sonic first. Hell, I don't even think you need a tutorial, as each level of the campaigns teach or remind you how everything works. This was just unnecessary, kind of random, honestly. Ignoring that, how does Team Rose play? Well, honestly, they have a few tweaks in order to make sure the team was simple yet effective for newer audiences. Amy has a hammer that you can either use when you do a spin dash attack and press B button again to interrupt the attack to attack quickly using her hammer. This honestly sucks. So the other way it's used is when you use a tornado attack. And instead of making one that's occupying the space that you're on, she hits it to the direction she's facing, and is honestly way better than the standard one since it's an actual range attack, so much appreciated. The other main difference goes to Big the goddamn cat, as he can do his belly stomp attack to directly punch onto enemies. This doesn't take any of the other moves that all the power members can do. Big just can do an extra one in its arsenal. Along with this. Also, for the entire Rose campaign, Big says almost nothing but Froggy whenever you get unique dialogue or cutscene. It is now ingrained to my god dang head. Someone send help. So with all that out of the way, how are the levels of Team Rose? Well, would you believe me that I finished the entire first act throughout this entire discussion? Because yes, Team Rose was said to be the easy and shorter than the other two, but I wasn't expecting this short, and like, dang, it's honestly hard to get anything lower than an A here. Whenever you start a new act, you just start somewhere in the middle of the level and still in the end in the middle of the level, only just to be a bit closer to the actual end. So like, damn, these are short. Not to mention they have the best team attack, which I don't know the name of the attack, so Petal Dance. Whenever you use this move, not only do you destroy all robots around you, but each member levels up by 1 and gains an immunity for the duration of the cooldown, so only falling can kill you in this state. Like, Jesus, this is overpowered. Now, I know it's because this is the easy mode of the game, so it makes it sense for those who want to learn the game should have the best abilities or perks for an easier experience. I was just not expecting by this much. I beat each level no problems at all, and honestly, I wish I could have used this team more since it was so quick. Guess what? So, there is a part of the game where you can pick your team and play certain stages, in case you want to improve your score. Or... So, this entire time, I could have just got all the keys in Team Rose's campaign. Or, if I missed any of the rings, I could have just got them on my way back as Team Rose in the other section. Instead, I decided to do it all in Team Sonic. So, that makes all my bitching in Team Sonic's campaign completely irrelevant. I should have thought of this better. Since Team Rose is just both the shortest and easiest of the campaigns, I say just get the 7 emeralds from this and just enjoy the other 3. Or at least try to get the emeralds along the way, and for any you failed, just go replay as Team Rose on the stages you missed. Also, I kind of like this team-specific thing. I don't know, it's just fun and relaxing to hear. It's officially my second favorite song in the game. I would say the hardest thing in this campaign is not get Big the mind-numbing cat gang stuck in my head with the way he always says Froggy.
Froggy!
Chaos data has been copied.
Here we go!
Yeah, let's go!
Finally, time to talk about Team Chaotix. Quick history. Team Chaotix debuted in Knuckles Chaotix, and when they were making Sonic Heroes, they needed a 4th team for the game. The team decided to repurpose the Chaotix instead of making 3 new characters, and that was probably for the best. With this retcon the Chaotix into Team Chaotix, and they are now they would show up in Sonic X as the versions we see now, as a private detective agency that would involve themselves in the show's version of a Sonic adventure. Oh yeah, that happened. Here, there are a trio of a rundown private detective agency chilling till Charmy the Bee runs into Vector the Alligator, or Crocodile, the package that holds their upcoming job, and Espio the Chameleon throws a knife to staple the package to the wall. Client hires the trio and sends them into various missions to prove themselves for the real job. Espio doesn't like this, but Vector reminds them of their policy to always take a job that pays. Alright, fair enough, economic standing is important. So, Team Chaotix is the more interesting of the 3, as they have their own objective system, unlike the other 3 who are just reach the end goal. This goes from collecting chows, to rings, to destroying Eggman robots. It could really be anything. Because of this, you only play segments of a stage, rather than the whole stage or a new ending in the middle of the stage. If the mission has a collecting objective, it is very possible to complete the stage early if you make sure you collect everything in the first run. Some, however, have a specific number of whatever the object is, so you might have to go to this flower that you need Charmy for it to open, so you can go back in the beginning to look for whatever you have missed. Like this damn robot that didn't spawn my first 2 runs and had to run this entire level until he finally spawned the 3rd time. I remember hating this campaign the most when I was a kid, mostly because I didn't like to search and look for tiny objects that don't power me up or anything, and rather just play the other 3 teams so I could just zoom around and reach the end of the level. Chaos is at least a nice change of pace from the other teams, since you no longer have the sort of urgency to reach the end of a long level, and instead finish early just for collecting hermit crabs for some reason. Now, I have no problem with the Chaotix playthrough, and Honestly, playing as these 3 characters are actually kind of enjoyable. Vector basically has the exact same moveset as Big the Purple Blob, but shoots the other 2 out for his deep-ball attack, so a nice powerful rage attack is a winner in my book. Also, his 3rd attack is always funny to me, especially when he shoots out exploding bubblegum. Charmy's only unique thing is just the flower that I mentioned earlier, where he teleports you to either the beginning of the stage or somewhere else in the level to progress. Espio can throw ninja stars instead of using hammers, similar to Amy. But what will be needed most, and honestly can deal with some levels when you just don't feel like fighting, is when you can turn invisible when you use your tornado attack. You'll have to use this for at least 2 missions where you have to avoid being detected. But you do not go back being visible unless you get hit or use a tornado attack again while being invisible. And even though the other 2 don't follow you around when you're invisible, you can just switch between them whenever you want as if they were still there. Switching does undo the invisibility, so be careful when you're in a no detective mission. These were fine to play through in the end, especially since I avoided the bonus stages with the exception of the first 2 to at least get a couple more lives. Oh yeah, I almost forgot the team attack. Well, here it is!
Ninja power.
Yeah, it's the trio singing so badly that everybody dies around them. It's hilariously concerning and they might need proper music lessons to make up for it. Arguably, this might be the 2nd best, maybe the best to others, since for each Eggman robot you defeat with this move, you gain a bulk of rings. And if you get enough rings, you can use your team attack again as soon as the cooldown wears off. Now, I never learned their passive ability during the cooldown team attack, so I'm just going to assume it's got something to do with how you can charge your team attack right after the first one while collecting rings. They also have the most interesting story, as for the most part they are following the orders of a mysterious client, leading them to the same areas that the others are following, knowing that it's got something to do with Dr. Eggman's latest scheme. In order to collect the dots here, here's the order from what the team expects most players would go through. I assume Team Rose starts their campaign off first, with Team Sonic and Team Dark starting off somewhere around the same time, or at least Team Dark ahead of Sonic. With Chaotix being the last one to start their journey. Due to how their story ends, I'll be back on that in a bit. With all 4 teams eventually matching their pace, as between boss levels you would fight one of the other 3 members. In the city, Team Sonic, Team Rose meet up, while Team Dark and Team Chaotix run into each other. And in the jungle, Team Sonic, Team Dark will clash, leaving Team Rose and Team Chaotix to meet up. And in all 4 campaigns, you'll have to beat the opposing team, with the only difference is the team that you are playing as being the victor. So I have no idea who's supposed to be the victor of each fight, as it seems like they all win depending on who you play as. I think we can all agree that Sonic just ran away from Amy again and gets winning the fight though. To recap, here are their campaign endings to make sense. Team Sonic defeats Eggman Fleet and congratulates each other, with Amy chasing Sonic to the end of the scene. Team Dark ends with Rouge finding a vault for Shadow robots, with the acknowledgement that Shadow could be a robot. Shadow doesn't see this, but is loosely acknowledged by it and wants to go search on who he is. Team Rose finds and rescues Choco and Froggy, and Amy chases Sonic, finding that they were definitely in the same place. And finally, Team Chaotix, once they defeat the Egg Emperor and Vector makes a guess on who their client is, it is revealed that Dr. Eggman was the client this entire time, locked away in one of his own vaults, unable to control his army. Thus, we fade away to a title card revealing the true villain, with the task to collect all 7 emeralds to unlock the true final boss fight. But before we get to that, here's the multiplayer mode. I know I said I wasn't going to do this mode, but a couple of friends came over and wanted to play this mode, so hell with it. Currently, I have Action Race, Battle Mode, Special Stage, and Ring Race. I don't have the final 3 due to not getting enough emblems, and to get more of said emblems, I need to complete all the stages to get in their challenge modes. So, no, I'm not going to do that. Also, I don't think I need to explain what bobsledding race is, so moving on. Action Race is the 2 teams racing to reach the end with the ability to interfere with each other, whether by directly attacking them or using your team attack on them. Which I think Team Dark is the only one that has a slightly different effect, as instead of indirectly hurting the opposing team no matter where they're at, they stop time for 10 seconds where you could just run past them or non-stop attack them so they get set back for a while. And you can technically kill your opponent, they just get respawned to the nearest checkpoint that you took, or if they didn't have a checkpoint, to the beginning of said stage. In the end, this is still just a race. The battle mode is just the same thing as when you fight the teams in story mode, just fight each other until you knock the other off the platform. It's okay. Special stage? No. Ring race has you grab as many rings as possible until time runs out, and whoever has the most in the end wins. If both teams have no rings or an equal amount in the end, the round is a draw and y'all replay the round again until one of you wins. Honestly, the multiplayer isn't that great, but with friends who are willing to put up with this, it can be pretty fun and have some funny moments of messing with your friends. This was on for like a good 30 minutes, but I wouldn't play this regularly over Mario Party or Smash Bros. For hanging out with friends. With that out of the way, time for the final boss. Dr. Eggman explains that it was Metal Sonic that orchestrated the entire plot as a way to copy and absorb the data of Sonic, Choco, and Froggy to gain the Chaos Energy they absorbed in Sonic Adventure 1. With the bonus of Shadow's data, as Metal Sonic was unaware of him being alive since he was presumed unalived. With everyone gathered in one place, Neo Metal Sonic absorbs the entire fleet to become Metal Overlord. And if that isn't the most badass name, I don't know what is. Fun fact, with the Neo Metal Sonic and the Metal Overlord designs, I get a Snatch Mon and Galacticmon vibes. I don't know if it's just me, but both are really cool designs, and honestly would love to see some art of these groups as some sort of inspiration or something. Eggman thinks they're all screwed, but the cast reveals my misery, showing that all 7 emeralds are here, and Sonic needs some time to power up. So it's up to the other 3 to fight a Metal Sonic to buy some time, and this part sucks. Basically, you're stuck on a platform, and all you can do is avoid obstacles and attack the glowy part on Metal where you have to attack. But depending on the color, Metal will be immune to that character's type's attacks, so you have to use the other 2 to deal damage. Which is why I hate it whenever it changes red, because I can't use Big, Vector, or Omega's range attacks, as how the hell am I supposed to attack with the speed characters, and maybe with the exception of Espio. And the flying characters can be really inconsistent. See, sometimes when you attack with the flying characters and when it looks like the attacks connect, but it doesn't, apparently. I don't know if it's because of my depth perception is flawed or anything, but eventually the attack lands, so whatever. You have to play as Team Roseburst, and thankfully since they do give you an easy way to get your team attack, so I used Petal Dance to defeat part 1. Then it's Team Chaotix, and I got stuck whenever I couldn't use Vector and actually lost at one point. Thankfully, if you get a game over, you just restart at the team you're currently in, so that's good. Eventually I figured out and took care of Team Chaotix side and moved on to Team Dark. Yeah, there isn't much to say here, as I already learned how to beat Metal here, and he doesn't really change throughout the fight aside from throwing more stuff at you. The order here is because the fight goes from easy to hard as you progress, but it's not that obvious since, again, the fight isn't very different throughout. Once you beat Metal here, he powers up further and flies away, and now Team Sonic is ready to go super, and time for the true final fight, and the reason I wanted to make this video.
Long time no see, Sonic. My lonesome self.
Yep, ever since I played Shadow Generations and heard this song, I wanted to play the original fight where this song came from, and this was awesome. The theme gives a feeling of trying to go all out, as if we're trying to go max power like in a fight. And going Supersonic against Metal Overlord, it's just a nice cherry on top. It did take me a while to learn to fight, but essentially the only way to deal damage to Metal here is by using the upgraded version of Blast Away, along with a unique animation of the trio attacking Metal. So to build up, you need to attack or reflect some of Metal's attacks using the trio and collecting rings. Also, you don't take damage here, but instead your ring count decreases, and if you run out, game over. So it's also important to get these red balloons that give you rings, as they are your life here. Now, you are supposed to switch between Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, but you can beat this entire boss as Sonic, so whatever. The entire team do have all of their abilities here, and so if you use them, at least they aren't underpowered. Metal flies around the entire time and will give everything he's got at you. Hence the awesome song. Almost all of his attacks can be dealt with by dashing through them, though I failed to destroy the literal battleship he flies down to throw at you. This isn't hard to dodge, heck, all these attacks are easy to dodge, but you fail to increase your team attack bar if you do, so you need to be active in this fight. This also takes 5 attacks to beat the fight, so there is room for error throughout the fight. Metal's goal is to delay you so you'll eventually run out of rings. Heck, some of the moves actually do take away some of the rings. Not all the rings though, but losing some still hurts, and there is no way of getting those rings back aside from those red balloons. I do have one critique here though, and whenever I keep dashing around, I do get confused here and where I am, and I can almost fly around Metal in this fight, so if you're not paying attention, you can easily miss these balloons. I'll be honest, this is a better boss fight than Phase 1, but it's definitely not the best boss fight I've played. Honestly, the music is carrying this fight in terms of making it fun, along with its setting. Because you mostly just keep dashing towards his attacks and you'll eventually beat him, but man, with the setting being the stormy sky, the song pumping me up, it just elevates the experience. I don't play a lot of Sonic games, honestly, and I want to say the Metal Overlord fight was better in Shadow Generations, because it is, but I feel like it isn't fair even though the fights is very similar to how you fight here in the Heroes. Actually, wait, they're very similar. I don't know anymore. I haven't played Adventure 1 and 2, so it's hard for me to compare this to them. I only know their stories. Thank you, Sonic X. But this was a very satisfying final boss in the end. And sometimes the setting and music just elevates the fighting experience even if they aren't hard or in-depth in the end. And that's honestly sometimes all you need. I can now rest from this game as this is the first time I fought Metal Overlord since I didn't get all 7 emeralds due to my original copy of Sonic Heroes broke after I completed all 4 teams back in 2005. After landing the final hit, Metal is defeated and reverts back to his original self. Sonic runs off, and I think Omega plans to adopt Metal here. I don't know. And Sonic drops the title of the game here? Hell no!
And that was Sonic Heroes, and honestly, wasn't as mad as I thought it was going to be. Sure, the game can be kind of annoying due to the decisions of the whole slipperiness, sometimes the jank mechanics, even just being bomb rushed by enemies. However, the game is simple and honestly quite fun. As long as you get over the whole hiccups and all that, you can just honestly have fun and actually learn how a Sonic game would traditionally work with all the different routes you can take to reach the end goals, experiment with some of the things that you can do. But the other cool thing about it is that it is easy for people to transition into the Sonic franchise. See, the story is simple and easy put together. It's not that complicated at all, and it actually gives a good gist of who everybody is. So, honestly, I kind of like this game, and I think it was a good breath of fresh air after playing such annoying games that we've been playing these days with all these FPS shooters and like competitive games. So I'm kind of glad I was able to play Sonic Heroes.
It's an addiction at this point.